Hi, Kim.
Hi, Sharon.
I'm pretty grateful, to be here with you. You're inspiration for me
Mm.
from the first time that I met you the last year. And what's the most expensive mistake that you made in real estate?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think part of being in real estate is there's going to be some things that don't go as planned and can get expensive. So you just want to minimize those as much as possible. One of ours that happened early on was a property that we had a home inspection done and, did our due diligence, at least so we thought, and were not made aware that the property was on septic versus sewer. It was improperly listed on MLS, so it wasn't listed there. And again, our home inspector didn't catch it, nor did our real estate agent. And not ideal. There are co-living properties that are on septic, but obviously that puts a big strain on the system to have so many people living in one house. And so financially, that was a tough one. Luckily, that property, when we first listed it, it's 8 bedrooms. It filled within 9 days, all 8 bedrooms. And so it's in a great area and it's a cash cow in that regard. And so that was our saving grace, a way for us to pay for what we needed to get the septic to the place that it needed to be. But ideally, would we have chosen that on the front end? No, we would not have. So, mistakes happen. You just want to minimize them. That was definitely a bigger one that we wish we had avoided.
What will you do if you had to start over with only $1,000?
In general, in terms of sort of starting over and kind of what I know now versus what I knew when I first started, was I would say first pick your lane as quickly as you can. In other words, you're still going to look. There's so many niches within real estate investing. Obviously, the one that we really focus on is co-living, and I think there's a lot of reasons why this is the one to choose. But in general, some people choose short-term rentals, some choose mid-term rentals. I mean, there's obviously a lot of ways to go. But what I sometimes see is people kind of doing a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, and then you never do any of them really, really well. So the people that I see that are the most successful are the ones who pick a genre or a niche and really focus on it. And so for us and for me, that is co-living. And so we've been lucky that once we really focused on that and honed our skills, we went within a little over a year of 0 to 17 properties. And in terms of your question about if you only had $1,000, the great thing about the way that we acquire properties, we're finding properties off MLS typically. We do wholesale deals as well, but typically it's off MLS. And we basically find the deal, we do the renovations, we furnish it, we get it online, and then we're ongoing property management for our tenants. But the funds come from equity partners. So we bring in somebody who doesn't want to be active in the deal. They just want to participate in the benefits of the cash flow. They also want the benefits of appreciation over time for that property. And they also want depreciation for tax benefits. So they are the money, so to speak, which means we put in $0. So really, we don't even need 1,000. We need
Exactly.
zero.
Yes,
So
exactly.
when it's done
Just
the right way, you
being
can.
proactive,
Mhm.
being proactive. Perfect. And what's something nobody told you about being a woman in real estate?
Let's see, that no one told me as far as being a woman. I mean, in general, I think, and maybe this comes from I have a corporate background in sales, and in the environment that I'm in, there's a lot of men and a lot of women. There's actually, in the particular company I work for, there's more women than men. So I was more used to that. And so as I've gotten into real estate investing more and more, we really are the minority. There just aren't as many women doing it. However, we're growing rapidly, and so it's a great time to get in. It's more and more accepted, but I also think there are still instances where men will kind of dismiss you as oh, you don't know what you're doing or you're not as sophisticated. So we're still involved in kind of breaking through those barriers. But again, I'm very proud of the fact that at least within my networks, it feels like there's a ton of women in real estate investing because I'm surrounded by them. But depending on what groups and areas you're in, it might not feel like that. You might feel like more of the minority in a very male dominated industry. So I guess my focus there, or my recommendation would be, make sure you're getting into different groups where there are a lot of women who are inspiring, who are sharing ideas, who are helping lift each other up, because there's plenty out there. You just have to find the right groups to kind of be a part of.
Yes, that's great. If you lost everything today, how you will make money
Mm-hmm.
again?
For me, it would focus. I would do our model, but just quicker, faster. Because again, for us, we're putting $0 into these deals, so I don't need to have capital. Um,
Wholesaling will be an option. Yep.
that's an option
Is
to
the
go. Yes,
one
yeah,
of the best option to start
true.
with nothing.
You can go. Yep, you can go straight into wholesaling. But I mean, for us, again, you can get into a co-living property without any of your own funds. It's a matter of networking, being able to raise the capital, and being able to communicate to a potential equity partner what that property can provide to them. Because at the end of the day, sales, whatever it is, you're selling a dream of what's possible. And then when you can get somebody on board with that, you're going to get people who want to invest with you.
Okay, that's great. You know, a lot of women never receive financial advices in their life. So, what financial advice made you the most money?
I mean, I think in general, the way our society is, at least with my upbringing, you're right. There's not a lot of financial education out there, and we're kind of taught the typical like be a consumer in this world, and we need to shift and pivot to looking at what the opportunities are. It's not, again, the way I grew up was you go to college, you get a job, and you kind of stay in that job. And if I save enough, I'll be wealthy. But really, that's a big fat lie for the most part. Not that you can't make a nice living. I've had a lot of success in my corporate career, so it's not that I'm completely poo pooing that. I'm just saying it's going to be small increments in terms of where you can go. And however, if you pivot and look at the real estate investing space, and if you look at multimillionaires in the US and probably all over the world for that matter, but ultimately there are more multimillionaires that are real estate investors than any other industry. And that's not just because of the financial returns, but it's the tax benefits. It's keeping more of what you earn. It's, so many things. So, I think my encouragement in general would be around educating yourself more and more. Reading a book, an early on book I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That really kind of shifts your your mindset on what's possible and how to look at assets and that sort of thing. But beyond there, there's a wealth of knowledge out there. That's one of the great things. No matter where you live in the world now, in addition to reading great books, I mean, what you can find on YouTube is immense. I mean, there's free education out there all over the place. And then when you decide where you want to specialize, I do think, being coached and having a mentor is incredibly valuable, because that person or that mentorship is going to help you leapfrog the amount of time that it would take otherwise.
Yeah, you are great. Thank you. What will you say to a woman who wants to start but is afraid?
Yeah, so fear gets in the way for a lot of people on all sorts of levels. I think number one, you got to start before you're ready, because inaction gets you nowhere. And so a year later, you're going to be looking back in the same spot that you were. And so just know you are never going to feel ready. The people, and regardless of businesses, whether it's real estate or anything else, I think the ones that find the most success are the ones that are willing to make mistakes, but then they're able to pivot and find more success more quickly, as opposed to somebody who's analyzing over and over and it's analysis paralysis. You want to take action, learn from those mistakes, pivot, take your next step, and just keep going. The road will naturally, kind of be laid out. And there's always the phrase that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I mean, look for those times and those touch points where you find somebody that, hey, this is somebody I could really learn from. And invest in that person. Again, kind of back to the coaching side of it. I do think that's so valuable. If you look at top CEOs, top athletes, any of it, they all have coaches. And so it's just identifying which one is the right fit. They're not all going to be the right fit, but that's super key.
That's perfect. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sharon.